not to mention a new family, unfamiliar surroundings. It's possible that she's overwhelmed. She feels helpless, out of control, so she tries to control Julia.
Thank you, Sigmund. No, my wife and I have already hashed through this. She loves living at Wildwind that much, I believe.
So it's easier to think in her heart that she's lusting after another man.
Nothing easy about any of this.
You've got the name of an ex-lover and a hunch. All right, talk to Maria. Worst case scenario, Julia's, Dell, and Maria's is one and the same. It's no big deal.
Then why hide it?
Well, maybe your wife is embarrassed. Cut her some slack.
Dimitri, I know Maria, okay? She told me her whole life story on our first date. I know her best friend from second grade. I know what she wanted on her 13th birthday. She doesn't keep things from me, so I call keeping Dell a secret a very big deal.
Dell is in her past.
Well, then why not just say it and be done with it?
Well, it could be that she was afraid that you'd be angry or jealous or overreact. That is a wild idea, isn't it?
Look, I'm the last one who's going to be crazed if she had a former lover. The hell I put her through with Brooke is proof of that.
Maybe she's trying to spare you the same hell.
Well, maybe. Maybe. Maria's not acting like the lady I know and love because Dell Henry still knows how to push her buttons. I'm going to have my answer either way tonight.
Edmund, you're playing a dangerous game here. In effect, you're accusing Maria of having an affair. Or assuming that just because she has some leftover feelings for someone, that she'd consider having an affair. Now, you said that your marriage was in trouble. Now, you mark my words, if you carry out whatever plan it is you have planned for tonight, your marriage won't be in trouble. Your marriage will be over.
I'm intruding?
Oh, Corvina, of course not. Come in. May I offer you a drink before dinner?
No, thank you. No more spirits. Never again.
What, you've been nipping at Peggy's cooking show?
Something's worse.
Well, come sit down. Is there a problem?
Dimitri, I slipped. I slipped very badly. I almost told Kendall everything.
About Anton. All right, what happened?
Kendall invited me out to get to know me better. Those were her words. I didn't want to go, but for Anton's sake,
I understand.
We went to this loud place filled with cowboys.
Kendall took you to Hal's Country and Western Bar.
And she ordered drinks. I'm not a drinker, but she insisted. Zombies are as American as apple pie.
Yes, and as potent as a right to the jaw.
Dimitri, I feel very uncomfortable around Kendall. She makes me nervous.
She has that effect.
Yeah, but the drinks seemed not to affect her. But before I knew it, I was crying and carrying on about Anton and our secret. The more I drank, the more she pressed me. She was so persistent. Somehow the mixture of alcohol and talk about Anton, Dimitri, I'm so sorry. I called out your name.
I'm sure she didn't put anything together.
No, it only made her more curious. Oh, my head was spinning like a top, but I remember Kendall asking me if you knew the secret about Anton, and I believed. I answered yes. Fortunately, Anton just came. Otherwise, who knows what else I would have told her. I just hope I didn't ruin everything.
It's okay. Don't blame yourself.
I woke up the next morning with my head as big as this house. Kendall is sly. He threw me off balance and then pounced. Oh, I won't be so stupid next time.
There won't be a next time. I will take care of Kendall.
But how you gonna do this? Kendall is very clever.
But not as clever as those she tries to deceive.
So, Dimitri and Corvina are definitely connected, and Anton's involved somehow. I just don't know how. But I'll find out. Maria, it's a lovely outfit you're wearing. Thanks. You know Dell Henry, right?
Dell, welcome to Wildwind.
Well, thanks for having me.
It was my husband's idea. You know, he'd fill the house with people every night if he could.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. The more the merrier.
So, have you seen Anton?
You know, I think he and Julia got waylaid by Peggy.
Is she still selling raffle tickets to that church bazaar? I had to buy 10 just to shut her up.
Well, then maybe you should go see if they need some rescuing.
Okay. Did he call? Excuse me.
Dare you show up here?
Well, you sure know how to make a body feel welcome.
You shouldn't have come.
I was invited.
Well, you could have begged off.
Oh, and miss all the fun?
Oh, you know, watching you do a number on Julia just to get back at me is not my idea of a good time.
Well, your hubby is warming up to me. And I've got a hankering to know Julia just a little better.
You mean get her in bed, don't you? Or is that already a done deal?
What happened to the fine art of small talk, Maria?
You know, I know how you operate. Do you remember, Dell? So I am warning you, you stay away from my sister.
Why, Dr. Santos, if I didn't know you so well, I'd say you were a little jealous.
Good evening. Darling. Dell, glad you could make it.
Well, thanks for having me.
As host for this evening, I promise there'll be no more name-calling or sand kicking.
Well, I promise to be on my best behavior, too. I'm a big believer in mending fences. What's been done can't be undone.
Well, you know, that night on the beach, I'm sorry, I just tend to be overprotective towards Julia.
Oh, well, hey, sisters will be sisters, right? Anyway, I still hope you don't see me as terminal bad news.
Well, I guess I did come on a little strongly that night. Well, it just goes to show that I can lose perspective with the best of them.
Ah, the other love of my life.
Don't you believe it? He's a one-woman man, and there she stands.
Peggy Moody, this is Dell Henry.
How do you do?
Fine.
Dell. Ah, wait a minute now. There once was a man named Dell who looked exceedingly swell. He captured a lass with a wink and a glass. And the rest of the story I'll tell later.
I'm sorry, Peggy, he's taken.
Well, I don't know, Julia. I'm a little partial to redheads.
Oh, God love you for a liar.
This one's for you.
Oh, no thanks.
Edmund
I don't drink.
insisted we open something expensive in your honor.
Well, thanks, but I don't drink.
Neither do I. Lucy, Mr. Henry and I will have mineral water.
I'll take that, Lucy.
Sister dear?
So, Dell, you're just not a drinker, are you?
Well, 3 cheers. Drink is a good man's failing.
It's Peggy's subtle reference to my misspent youth. Got me into trouble with the ladies. Is that the same reason you don't partake?
Oh, well, something like that.
No, he doesn't smoke or eat junk food either. And look at him, he's just a picture of health.
So maybe he can get you started on the 12-step program for your potato chip habit.
I'm already in reform school. From now on, my diet is salt-free, fat-free.
Fun-free.
There are ways to have fun that don't come in vacuum-packed bags.
Oh. So, we know that you don't smoke and you don't drink. Sounds like some sort of Boy Scout.
Oh, hardly.
Really? Sounds like a story there. Why don't you tell me? Come on. The early days of Dell were Henry... Uncle? The early years? The college years?
Well, I'm afraid I didn't go to college.
Well, we're writers. We still must have something in common.
I know. You both have superb taste in women. Excuse me.
Yes, Corvina. Corvina, come, please. Join the party. Dell, this is Corvina, Anton's sister.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
How do you do?
Fine, thanks.
Kendall, Dimitri would like to see you in the den right away.
Did he say what he wanted?
Only that it was important.
Master's voice, excuse me.
Well, Mr. Henry, would you like to see the rose garden by moonlight?
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
Unchaperoned?
They make
a handsome couple, don't they?
Corvina said you wanted to see me?
Kendall, please come in. You're looking especially pretty tonight. I'm sorry I have to drag you away from the party.
That's okay, work comes first. I mean, I'm still learning the spreadsheet program. If I made a mistake, I can correct it.
No, this has nothing to do with work. It's personal.
Okay.
Now, I'm not really good at this sort of thing, so forgive me if I take the long way around.
Take your time.
Kendall, you and I have a complex history. You know how I feel about secrets. They can do irreparable harm. I'm about to reveal something to you that I've never told anyone. You've already tumbled to part of it. When I tell you the rest, you'll understand why I kept this my secret until now. Can I trust you with the confidence?
Of course, you can trust me, Dimitri.
It involves Corvina. I appreciate what you've done to make her feel at home here, by the way.
She's Anton's sister. I'd do anything for him.
Which is why we're having this talk. As the woman in Anton's life, I feel that you have a right to know the whole story about Corvina and me.
All right, who wants some more garlic bread here?
I'm stuffed.
How about you, sweetheart?
She's gonna explode.
Why, she's only had 3 pieces. Who's counting? Joy. This is nice. You know, around my dinner was growing up, it was an absolute battlefield. Your Uncle Travis and I used to get into fights all the time, especially around holidays when Mother would make a turkey. We'd fight over the wishbone. If she made peas, we'd have to count each pea to make sure we were suffering equally. And the last piece of pumpkin pie I always got. Now, my brother, Travis, was older than me, but I was smarter. I always flipped him for it.
What is that?
It's a 2-headed quarter. Courtesy of Bert's Magic Emporium and Trick Shop. No, you go ahead and keep that. I just used to use that to drive my brother nuts. I didn't even like pumpkin pie.
At my house, my cousins and I used to get into fistfights because they made fun of my freckles.
Freckles? Does Mommy have freckles?
But my daddy came to my rescue. He said that freckles were a sign of superiority.
I think your daddy was right.
I think daddies always think their little girl's the greatest. Who's gonna help me clear this table, huh?
Here, I'll flip you for it. How's that? Heads.
It's past Lily's bedtime. Come on, honey. Kiss Daddy goodnight, and I'll tuck you in. You don't want to go up, huh?
Yeah, she wants to flip you for another half hour.
I don't think so. Here, you keep this. I think it's past your bedtime.
What?
No, Lily. Jack can't read you a bedtime story tonight. He has places to go.
Well, your mommy is wrong. Because Jack can't think of any place he'd rather be than telling his daughter a bedtime story.
Lily has made really incredible progress, hasn't she?
Well, I'll say she has. It's not like the same little girl. I mean, she's focused. She makes eye contact. She verbalizes in context.
Yeah. Where do you see this? This is Lily's first major artwork. The medium is finger paint. It's a portrait. You, me, and Lily holding hands.
Which one am I?
You're the one with the big head.
Ah.
Yeah.
Any chance I can have this?
Well, it'll cost you.
Well, I'm all out of 2-headed quarters, so we're going to have to find out some other medium of exchange here.
I have a garbage disposal that is being extremely uncooperative.
Did you try the old broom handle trick?
Yeah, oh yeah. We also need a new broom.
turned it into kindling, didn't
Oh, toothpicks.
you? Toothpicks. Well, I told you can't put avocado pits down that thing. It likes a diet of, like, banana peels.
Oh, excuse me. Who fed a 24-karat gold cup?
Well, who left it on the sink?
Oh, who bought them for you?
Ha ha! I got you now.
What, you're blaming me?
Oh, you did, man.
What about you and Corvina?
Well, I was younger than you. I was summering at Basel. I was ripe for a romance. Angelique was still a fantasy, and there was Corvina.
You fell in love?
Well, let's say I fell in love with love. We had an affair. And at season's end, I went home and finally got engaged to Angelique.
What about Corvina?
I never lied to her or made any promises, but I'm sure it was still hard on her.
I can imagine.
And now fate has thrown us together again. Anton's a grown man. Their parents have passed on. Corvina's sole concern, one I actively share, is her brother's future.
She's afraid that people will find out about your affair and get the wrong impression?
Yes. Thank you for understanding that. If, Corvina can't get past the idea of her being a servant and me being her employer. Now, if the affair became common knowledge, the humiliation would be too much for her. It's also especially important to her that Anton never find out.
Dimitri, he wouldn't mind. He adores you.
And not for Anton's sake, for Corvina.
So you still care about her?
Corvina's part of the family. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot. You're engaged to Anton. I have no right to ask you to, keep secrets from your fiancé, but that's precisely what I am asking. Kendall, would you give me your word that you'll never tell Anton about his sister and me?
I promise. You have my word.
Thank you.
Dimitri, it means a lot to me that you have faith to trust me with something so intimate. It really means a lot.
Well, 6 months ago, I wouldn't have entrusted you with a shopping list. But seeing you sitting before me now, you've changed.
I have.
Yes, I can finally see what Anton sees in you. You've become more a part of the family with every passing day. The best thing about your engagement to Anton is it finally gives you and me a chance to get closer again.
Nothing in the world means more to me.
Where do you hail from again?
Texas.
Well, West Virginia originally. There was a lot of good years spent in the Lone Star State.
You know, I always wanted to visit that part of the country. What section?
East Texas. Somewhere around it.
That's your neck of the woods.
That's a big neck of the woods.
Hey, I met my math teacher of 8th grade at the China Wall. You ever been to San Antonio? That's Maria's alma mater.
Well, my dad took me to see the Alamo, but like I said, I didn't have funds for college.
You know, a lot of great writers never went to college.
Well, that's true. Charlie Dickens never crossed the threshold of university, and Sam Clemens got his education on the banks of the Mississippi.
Hey, I'm a great believer in a self-taught man. A writer doesn't learn in a classroom anyway. He learns his craft by living it.
I agree.
Say I wanted to write a story about a trucker. I drive a rig. If I wanted to write about homeless, I stayed in the streets. A good writer has to reinvent himself, make himself invisible. Hey, a good writer doesn't follow the herd. He becomes the herd.
Oh, I should be taking notes here.
Say you wanted to do a story about a college co-ed. What would you do? Hang out at the student union might be a good idea. Find a pretty girl who you like, chat her up. Did you ever date a college co-ed, Dell?
Well, I've dated all kinds of ladies from all walks of life. But I'm sure you have your stories, too.
You know, it just occurred to me. We're surrounded here by a doctor, an almost doctor, an almost nurse. If I choke on a cocktail weenie, we can draw straws with a Heimlich maneuver. Actually, I shouldn't tease. I love doctors. I recommend them.
Well, I'll have to try them out sometime.
Don't you dare.
Saying I never went went out with a pre-med or an MD?
Memory fails, but I may have. It's unchivalrous, though, to date and tell.
You're a good Southern boy, Dell. Dell, that's an unusual name.
Oh, not down south.
No? You know plenty of guys named Dell back home?
Well, not personally.
How about you, sweetheart? Were you swimming in a sea of Dells?
No, of course not. Well, there was one guy that I knew, dated. But, you know, like Julia said, there was probably hundreds of guys named Dell down south. Thousands.
But you didn't date them all.
No. I didn't date them all.
Just one.
Excuse me? Dinner is served.
Didn't like having an arm stuck down its throat.
No, I guess maybe not. You know what the real problem is? I always forget the same thing. Turn off the water main before you start to work. It's starting to mildew all
I'll turn off the air conditioning.
No, that's okay.
Well, you're going to catch your death. Let me throw that in the dryer.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Mr. Henry.
Please, call me Dell.
Dell. It's an unusual name.
Corvina, why don't you come sit next to me?
Julia, why don't you and Dell sit down at this end of the table?
No, honey. It's my party. I'm in charge of seating assignments. And since tonight's theme is getting to know you, I suggest we all swap our usual partners.
Well, sounds like a good plan.
It's bound to keep the conversation lively. Corvina, why don't you sit here in between Dimitri and Anton, please? And Julia right here. Kendall next to Dimitri. Peggy, head of the table. And then Maria and Dell. Everybody comfy?
Like bugs in a rug.
I'd like to apologize for keeping everyone waiting.
There was a communication breakdown with some Japanese investors, but worked it out.
Well, thanks to Kendall. I would like to propose a toast. To friends, past, present, and future.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
I'd like to drink a toast.
Not to friends, but to old lovers. Here's to Maria and Dell.
Tonight, Joey's comedian girlfriend uses jokes about the family interact on Full House. Then Tia and Tamara return with Sister, Sister.